Okay, take two. First take was a dump truck going by. I don't like dump trucks or big construction vehicles. Um, so I'm thinking, what's going on in the world and what's can we do about it? Well, the Republican Party's falling apart, um, and that's. I mean, yeah, you have to figure out something's really radically wrong with our country. I mean, I always thought it was according to the what was it, the Constitution or Bill of Rights or something like that. I'm never really sure at my age, but it's supposed to be a government for the people by the people. And what we have now is a bunch of greedy cocksuckers trying to steal everything they can. I mean, it's the level of ridiculousness, is that a word? Is amazing. I mean, you have Donald Trump sitting out there going, comparing himself to Nelson Mandela. Number one, he's nowhere near as smart as Mandela was. He never went through what Mandela went through before he became an unbelievable leader for a country that, was completely divided at the time. I don't know where an effective leader is. I don't believe it's Biden. I know that it's definitely not Trump. I guess I don't read enough politics or enough about people to know where there is a leader that would come forward, be able to generate consensus, be what's the terminology when you're not selfless rather than selfish. Uh, things like that. I don't know where that's coming from. I mean, I don't live in America anymore, but I'm affected by American politics because my income comes from America through Social Security. All my friends live there. I worry about them, and whatever happens in America has a tendency to affect the world. I mean, if you want to get into, I mean, you got a guy down here that wanted to. I don't know whether he did it or not, but he wanted to break off relations with Israel. And I got a what are the temple right down the road from me, maybe 10-15 minute walk from my house. So I don't know where do you go with this? Nothing makes sense. You've got this. Well, I don't want to really get nasty, but I guess I have to. This slut, Marjorie Taylor Greene, running around the White House or Congress rather, with her head so far up Trump's ass that nothing's getting done. I mean, I've watched Congress for years, and I've always said this: nothing's really getting done. These guys sit around and go to they have huge expense accounts. They don't pay for anything, and we pay for everything. They get paid whether if the country shuts down the government, they still get paid. They still get their credit cards paid off and everything, and they don't do a lot. Um, Negotiation is that's like a going to a poker game, and sitting around and seeing who's going to say what to what, who's going to do what when. Um, this is it's But it's worse now because you have one party that's totally dysfunctional. There's nobody with the biggest thing I have, the biggest problem I have is there's nobody with balls to stand up in the Republican Party and say, listen, Trump's an asshole. I don't give a shit if the people don't want to vote for me. I got to say what I got to say. His followers aren't good for anything except shoveling shit in a stable, you know? They don't have one good idea amongst them. When I say good idea, I mean one that's going to be productive for the country and the welfare of the people within the country. They don't care. I mean, they shouldn't call it the Republican Party. They should call it the narcissistic party. Where all they care about is themselves. They're greedy little bastards, and some of them aren't educated. I mean, when I say educated, they're not educated in manners or politics or anything else. I mean, they're not. They're just so fucking radical. And I shouldn't criticize radicals. I mean, I was considered a radical when I went up against it, when I made Nixon's enemies list. I mean, we all were back then. So I can't really say that. It's just that I think we had a little bit more, a broader spectrum of reasoning for what we did. This one, this guy, he has no reasoning for what he did other than that right now he's trying to stay out of jail. And that's why you got guys like Jim Jordan. He wants to be speaker. To keep himself out of jail. They want to stop legitimate investigations. Look, I've never once said stop the Biden investigations. If Biden's guilty, fine, let's get rid of him. If he's money laundering and stuff like that, I personally don't think he's smart enough. His son, maybe. The father, I really have my doubts right now because of his age, because he's like me. I forget my name if it wasn't sewn on the inside of my underwear. So I don't know, where you can, what you do. I mean, there's nobody out there, and there's nobody in the Democratic Party that's speaking up and that deserves to be considered for president or vice president or anything else. Kamala Harris doesn't do anything, and I don't think we've ever had a vice president that did anything. They sit around. The wives of the presidents do more than the vice president does a lot of times. You had Eleanor Roosevelt, you had some others where the wife of the president really accomplished something, whereas the president, well, even the president accomplished something if you're going to Eleanor Roosevelt. But what's the deal there? Don't we have anybody left in this country that cares? Or are we too busy playing video games? Don't get me started on that, because I do believe that's just turning us into a generation of drones. You can influence somebody so badly with a computer game, and I've watched. I have a grandson who's he's actually a championship caliber youth tennis player. At 12 years old, he won the 14-year-old championship. So, I mean, he's very, very good. But put a Game Boy in front of him and he's gone. I mean, he'd rather, when he's not playing tennis, he'd rather sit around and play Twister or whatever that game is, the machine he has. But it's just beyond my comprehension. Whatever happened to reading? That's not an existent thing. That's not existent down here at all, really. To watch I used to see people on the trains and the buses and whatnot reading. Usually it was either serious literature or a textbook. Now you don't even see that. They're on the phones all the time. Everything's on a computer. I'm no different. I mean, I sold my encyclopedias when I moved down here. Otherwise, I'd use them, because to me it's a lot easier. It may not be faster, but I get the specific answer I want a lot easier than I do off the computer. And I'm pretty good at doing research, but I don't know. We have these. What's to become of the human race? I mean, the things that we're dealing with right now, the climate, race relations, sex relations, all that stuff. And that's just in the United States, because I can't really get into what's going on down here. Just think mafia, and you pretty much understand what's going on down here. But there's no. Doesn't appear that people really care about what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, I look at the people down here, I have a friend that lives in the building. He's trying to learn English. He's an older man. He's got a wife and a kid and everything. He's a really nice guy, sweetheart of a guy, at least to me. I don't know what he is in the rest of the world. He works 7 days a week just to get by. Don't get me wrong, he's got a nice standard of living. Got a car, a couple of motorcycles, lives in a nice apartment, lives where I live. The difference is it's costing me less money than it's costing him because of the exchange rate. So out of my income, it's a smaller portion than it is his. But now everybody's suffering, including myself, because the price of food's going up. So as the cost of living keeps going up. And I don't know if I was single, if I had all this stuff I owe now, and I was 17, 18, 19, if I'd ever be thinking about getting married and having a family. I never wanted kids, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And it's not because I don't like kids. It's because I don't think I'd be very good at it, a lot of reasons for that, but that's a whole nother video. It's a whole nother book. But we've forgotten how to do so many things. Why don't we read anymore? And you look at, I look at the list of books banned in Florida. I've read most of them. I don't think there's anything controversial in them. Maybe I'm not smart enough to see it, But I think if you want to see something controversial, you can see it in just about everything. Hey, look, I'm back. I make this promise every time I make a video that I'm back for good. We'll see what happens. I've got a father-in-law in the hospital for 14 days. My wife had a mini stroke. I've got all kinds of things going on. I'm not in the best of health. My memory's going, but we'll see. All right, I'll try to come back again tomorrow or the next day. In the meantime, be safe.